Oh, I don't like that at all. Hello and welcome to the show, and we have a surprise guest for today. We have Vanilla Bear. Say hello.
Hi.
She's decided to join us for the show for as much as she can entertain the audience. We'll see how this all goes today. Reaper, Dax, obviously Vanilla. How are we doing today?
I'm good.
You're good. Just a note to mention, a whole bunch of people just seem to have kids home from school, so if you hear odd noises, yelling and screaming, it is nobody getting murdered in the background. It's probably just children interfering with the daily events. Oh, hello, Sasuke. An unwanted Reaper starts the gambling in the chat. Do you really have 20,000 bones? Alright, let us figure out. Okay, so let me throw this out there. In the beginning, we are going to have a few technical slowdowns because I am using the new Streamlabs OBS version 0.8.10, and I'm not sure how well it's going to go. So, let's kick over to the board. Alright, and there it is. And let's hit it.
Welcome to the Great Debate.
All right, we've got the board. We've got everything working. I did notice a few things I do not really do not like about this new OBS versus the OBS Studio. However, I will deal with it for today. We'll see how this show goes. I appear to be broadcasting all right. The picture looks pretty smooth to me. I don't know how it looks for you guys. Audio seems to be going through just fine. All right, so with that, Vanilla, welcome to the show again, I think. Maybe. I am a numbskull. I don't remember what I said already, but let's continue on anyways. There's a whole bunch of topics on the board. If you would like to pick one, we will start this game.
Movies.
What?
Movies.
Movies. The Black Panther is coming out. Why should the blackness of the audience matter?
to me, it shouldn't matter. You know, whether it's white, black. But that to me, I don't see them any different.
Okay, I don't either, but there's been a lot of there's been a lot of drama around how black you are and whether white people should be in the audience for the first showing and who the movie is for and why people would be going and all of that. And it seems to be, well, obviously dramatically overblown.
Yeah, it's to me, it's like segregating them. You know, oh, you can't come because, you know, you're not this type of colour.
Unwanted Reaper says it's okay to be white. I like the hashtag the hashtag it's okay to be. Dex O'Brien says fuck Black Panther. Honestly, in my opinion, I would kind of like to see it. But you know what? I'm not a go spend my money at the theaters person anyway, so when it hits DVD, I will either rent or maybe watch it on something. I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
I'm naughty. I don't go. I type it in and I find.
Yeah, that's all I do. If I can get it in my living room, cool. If I can't, oh well.
Yeah.
I don't always like certain pirated copies, Unwanted, but that is a good idea. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't see why they're making a big fuss about it, you know. They might as well have done that with Pride and Prejudice, you know, being prejudiced to your own.
I mean, you could do that with all sorts of movies and television shows. I have Pandora on one of my phones, and with Pandora, I go for a walk in the morning. I either play a YouTube video or Pandora. Hello, children. Hello. Do you want to play a game?
No. I just forgot.
Let's see. Dax says, I'm not going to see it. I'll get it on DVD, but I'm not affecting their initial line. I'll be damned if I'm going to let these assholes tell me I can't see it because I'm white. I've heard it's good and there was, no, yeah, we're black in the movie. I started to say on my Pandora, I listened to, you know, random funny music, and the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air came across, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, you know what, as I was a kid, I remember seeing a handful of shows where that's all there was in the show was black actors, and I never had a problem with it then, and I don't have a problem with it now, but that's not gonna weigh me towards or away from buying a ticket. In fact, the controversy surrounding it, if I were a moviegoer, would make me just go, okay, so you don't want my money. That's cool. I'll watch it some other time.
Yeah, they are making a deal out of nothing.
Yeah.
Film.
By the way, did you know February is Black History Month?
Yeah. Because I know on Twitter, YouTubers like, oh, go and subscribe to black YouTubers.
Well, if you subscribe to them, don't just do it because they're black.
Yeah.
Just because his name is the black YouTuber, it doesn't make him any better than the white YouTuber.
We all bleed the same and breathe the same, so there's no difference.
Anybody who caught that, that's fine. All right, what do we got going on over here in chat? Reaper is just chilling those bones. He is just playing that game. Unwanted Reaper. I grew up with Will Smith. Yeah, Will Smith was in a lot of shows as we were growing up. And it's not like a lot of us that talk about this and listen to this and are annoyed with the current state of events didn't grow up with this in our television as we grew up. I saw television shows all of the time in primetime TV slots, nonetheless, watching shows where the entire cast, if not 90%, was black. And yeah, you'd have the same thing on white shows, and then you'd have shows where they'd be mixed. You'd have shows to give the audience what they wanted to see. So I don't mind that they're all black in the Black Panther. That's not what would entice me to see it. What would entice me is how cool of a superhero did the movie make him out to be. Because that could be pretty cool.
It could have said that about 12 Years a Slave as well. You know, with it being quite forthright with the black slavery.
Yeah. All right. How's that looking? You guys can see that. Let's get another angle in here. Again, I am just playing with this new one. Ooh, that looks huge. Let's give that a shot for a minute. What would you like to pick next?
The internet.
The internet. Google is processing over 3.5 billion searches per day. 1 billion users per day on YouTube. How is it, with the highest traffic in the world, YouTube loses money?
I'm not sure about this one.
Ooh. They do have and I looked it up, they are #1 on most lists on their traffic, their consumption, their daily visits, their searches. Boy, do they hold a lot of #1s in that category. So if that's a reason to stay open, sure, cool. Is that a reason people are bringing them money? Yeah, probably. But how are they continuing to survive if their primary income is also being spent back out to cover other parts of the company? I'll take conjecture.
I get it with YouTube, you know, it's like with the adverts, they got payout to allow, you know, certain companies to advertise. So I can see why YouTube are losing out on money.
I don't like how large the chat is coming through to the audience live. It's huge. We'll fix that later because unfortunately this OBS will not allow me to fix on the fly, and it'll cause so many problems with the way I have it set up. The secret, the servers cost a lot to run, I guess, servers because of their BS advertising policy, says Vision. Here is how I feel it's being done. It's huge. It's being done like this. Alphabet has enough subdivisions of their company, including Google, and then Google linked has YouTube. And no, I haven't sat and gone through all of this. But the way they have the company built, if one section begins to fail, then other sections can manage to hold it up. But that only works to a financial point. And they have to be pushing something else on the side that's allowing them to assist in this. Are they selling server space? As I don't know if that was his intent to say, but Reaper was saying is servers. Are they selling server space? Are they leasing out space? How are they doing this? Because you can't operate on a loss forever. Is somebody cooking the books?
But you would think, well,
Good
especially
morning,
now they've got
Madwoman.
that idiot working, you know, that idiot working for them now. And a lot of people are getting chucked off YouTube that they're not getting their money now, are they really?
No. So maybe, what is it, the 20th? What's today? So tomorrow these new advertiser stings take effect, and I haven't hit either of the goals to make anything, not that I was there yet. But
I've made one of them. I've got like 9,000 minutes. So I could try and get monetized, but because I've not got 1,000, I don't know whether that will, 1,000 subs.
yeah.
Whether that not me.
I don't know how it'll all play out, and I don't know if I really, even if I do hit their monetization level, do I want to turn it on? I can just as easily run without turning on YouTube monetization. I was shocked a few weeks ago when one of my subscribers in the chat here, just out of nowhere, hey, la da 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 da, what's going on? Huh? Okay, cool. I wasn't expecting that. No big deal. Thank you. And keep going. I don't know if I really need YouTube to help me there. I'm trying out this Streamlabs OBS so that it works even smoother. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but how is YouTube going to make money on me if I'm not going to turn advertising on? You have to take into account YouTube has never turned a profit even before they bought out by ABC. If you take away YouTube, now people will riot in the streets. Why? I think if you took YouTube away now, not to keep going over time, but I'm very good at that. If you took YouTube away now, I don't think it would be a riot. I think what you'd get is people scrambling for the next best site to do what they're doing. So you'd get Mad Woman running to Twitch. Sorry, go ahead.
I said you got that, with the VidMe, and then they took that down because they weren't making money on it. But
in order for them to make money on it, they would have to get a flood of traffic. If YouTube went down for, let's say, a day, you would get the circumstance that you're looking for to see which sites would provide the best benefits. Whichever one took up the biggest flow from consumers. And it could be BitChute. It could be Twitch for streaming, or YouNow. There's so many of them. I don't know if any one could really take up the mantle ever.
yeah, I think Bear would have a heart attack if YouTube went down.
I have nothing invested in YouTube except time, and there are a few videos I have up there that I don't know if I still have copies on my computer. If you took YouTube away, people would bitch for a couple weeks, then they'd move on. I don't think it'd be a couple of weeks. We live in a digital world. If you took YouTube away, it wouldn't even be a couple of weeks. It would be a couple of days.
Yeah.
Mad Woman says they keep smacking her channel with limited or no ads. Why tear down when you get $4 a month of work? With Streamlabs, you can make more money. I read the other one. I'm willing to bet his eye would start twitching and he'd need at least 3 monsters to balance it.
He would.
It would be... Does anybody vaguely remember when MySpace came down?
I used to love that site.
It was awesome. It was really awesome until Facebook came up, and then they started competing with Facebook, and then it turned into a whole different kind of site, and it wasn't worth going anymore. And I've never really been a Facebook fan either. I have an account for this.
Yeah, I've got 2 accounts, my private one and I've done one for Vanilla Bear. But I've only got the private one because I've got family in the States, so it's my only way to keep in contact. Otherwise, I wouldn't be on Facebook.
Yeah. So, here we are back at the board. And you can feel free to select anything you would like off the board, and we will go there next.
Schools.
Schools. Schools keep adding or changing the curriculum of the students based on a Board of Education. 2 A's there. That was an accident. With national and local say over all of it, do parents really choose how their children are being taught?
Yeah, but no.
Go ahead.
My youngest, I don't really get a say in of what he's taught, but my eldest, I do get a say in because the school is run by a bunch of SJWs. So I get a say in what he learns because I'm not having him brainwashed.
Okay. If the viewers on the other end notice any difference, I apologize. I'm trying to see if I can adjust for her background noise, and I think I did a good job. So if there's any problems hearing her, let me know. Welcome Minding Freedom to the chat. What else? I think that's it. Okay. This is my curiosity. When schools were started, it started with the basic curriculum. Here's what is known. Here's math. Here's reading. Here's how to write, how to spell. Here's how to do a little bit of science. And then you add to the curriculum as we learn. Nowadays, they're teaching everything from, you know, the math and the stones to, well, all the way up to sex ed in primary and grade school. At what point do you stop and go, all right, why aren't you just teaching my children what they need to know to learn the next bit of knowledge? You're now teaching them how to live as people. You're trying to train them how to be someone as opposed to just teaching them and letting them learn the material.
Yeah. There has been, I don't know whether you saw my live stream, there's a thing that my son does at school. It's citizenship, so it teaches them trans, you know, and all that area. Now they're teaching them that this is a teacher that is an SJW, brainwashing the children, saying, as a parent, taking a phone off the child is classed as abuse. So
wait, hold on. Say, can you repeat that one more time so I heard that clearly? Taking a phone away from a child is classified as abuse?
Yeah.
What?
The child is now in care because they see the child as a danger. Because his dad was giving him a punishment.
I've heard laws in areas that are like this, and I guess you have to draw the line based on your upbringing. How do you want to do things, and everybody sees it a little bit differently.
Yeah, to have a phone is a privilege. To be a little naughty child, you know, you need to have your punishment.
Yes.
You know, like, we can't smack them, but, you know, now it's like, not back when we were younger, we had a good crack across the head if we were naughty.
My stepfather had a large wooden paddle. It almost looked like one of those oven handles to reach in and grab the pizza with, and it was half-inch thick oak. He's like, here, I got an extra piece of wood. I'm making a paddle. And it wasn't, you know, it wasn't sanded down or anything. It was just a large piece of oak. And it's like, that's how I grew up until my young teens. Until the point where when he went to swing it, I grabbed it and took it away. That was the end of the paddle. But no, kids don't grow up the same as we did. And does that make them... Does that account for where they are? Does that make it the school's responsibility to take over because they feel parents aren't all doing what the curriculum or the state feels like they should be? It just doesn't all add up to me.
No, they've taken it all out of context. You know, with how a child should know from right and wrong, and if they are naughty, they get punishment, not to fold the word round, oh, it's abuse, oh, I've got to ring childline because my parents have took my phone away from me. The schools are doing it wrong, and then it undermines. Actually, I feel undermined as a parent with them teaching them wrong.
Yeah. Did you hear several months back, I don't know what the outcome of it was, I haven't looked, there was a bill, I want to say it was like Bill C-86 or something like that. It was a Canadian bill that would give children the right that if they felt like their parents weren't allowing something or they were unhappy at home, I can't explain the details that well, but apparently it was to benefit children if they were in a place where they felt uncomfortable with their, you know, if their parents set down too many rules and the kids thought it was wasn't a friendly place for them to be, they could complain to the government and be pulled out and put in another home, and I thought that was ridiculous.
Yeah, they are teaching them wrong. Like I put my foot down and gone like, because like my eldest, he's got learning difficulties.
Yeah,
so if he feels uncomfortable, he will use his timeout card and not stay in that lesson.
Yeah, I've put my foot down with the school a lot. It just seems like they want to do things their way regardless of what you say to them when you're in there with those meetings. Let's see. When I grew up, taking a phone away was called discipline. Absolutely. It was a luxury to have. Absolutely. Again, they're trying to become your child's parents so the kids know and believe what they want them to. In your childhood, did the black kids have guns there? Taking phones, banning TV or games is a way to make your kids listen to you. And that is very, very true. Let's see. Let's get the prompter angle so people can see here. And now it's going to be all messed up, isn't it? Now it's all messed up. Too much chat. If they behave, they can have the luxury. No, we have gun control here. I believe the lack of punishments has affected how they act. Look, if you want to bring up your child as an anti-authoritarian, go ahead, but don't force the shit on me. If a kid does shit, kid gets punished. Simple as that. If an adult shits, flush, okay, moving past that, if an adult does something wrong, take this as somebody who has served time. If you do something wrong, you get punished. The punishment should be fair and humane and appropriate, but I'm sorry, it doesn't matter where or what you do. You're going to end up getting into a fight. You're going to get hurt in jail. That's how it goes, you know? You'd be lucky if you didn't. So don't teach your kids that there's no punishment for what you do when as soon as they turn 18, the first thing that's going to happen is they're going to get punished for everything that they're doing because nobody taught them how to do it the right way or they'd be punished. That's just how that goes. Alright. Let's see. Anything in chat that I missed? And no, not with the beatings and other violent stuff, with the phone being taken away, no TV and other penalties. I was grounded a lot. Me too. I believe in spanking, not beating, but spanking. You know what I've learned? You know what? So a pat on the butt, a small spanking, doesn't hurt them. They kind of understand it. But, you know, in the long run, you think about that. Most people just, at some point, they're just going to look at you and laugh and go, I'm going to do it anyway just because. So that doesn't always work either. Trust me, as a parent, as an uncle, as someone who grew up with a lot of siblings, it doesn't always work. Blue Penguin, hello and welcome. I was always a good kid, never did shit good in school, all of that, because I knew if I pulled it, I got punishment. I saw it on my brother. Yep, there you go. Some of the younger kids realize that they, you know, oh, I better do this right because my sibling just got punished for it, so I'm not involved. I'm going to go to my room.
I'm just going to nip off a minute. I can hear the children shouting. I'm going to make them sit.
That's perfectly fine. Tell them that you're arguing with a skull on fire.
I will.
Okay. I will mute her audio until she tells me she's back for everybody's benefit. Welcome Ragnarok to the chat. How you doing? Everybody doing good in the chat today? Alfie is gonna wake up Bear. LOL. The punishment will be real. Morning Bullwinkle. Morning Penguin. Let's see. What am I missing? Anybody got anything I'm missing? If I'm missing it, please at me in the chat. I apologize. I'm trying to read it all, but Nightbot is taking up my chat boxes here. Every time I start reading, Nightbot pops in. Oh no, I know. Yeah, see? Skullbot. I don't want to turn him off. Alright, she's back. Let me turn her back on. Boom. She's back. Alright. We have the board back up here again.
Mainstream media.
Mainstream media it is. It is important to report the news. Better live. Best with the most details and information available.
Most of the time they don't.
Well, that could be argued depending on who you watch, what you watch, and how much of the news you're willing to believe, certainly. However, it could also be argued that this statement should be false because of outlooks on recent shootings, both local and abroad, and I'm sure you get the same thing in your area. Should you be broadcasting the information of a person who is willing to go out there and commit mass injury or mass death to people just to get his name announced or just to get what he's trying to say, or she, across by killing themselves or someone else?
Yeah. My problem is with the media is like over this with the terrorism. They can't keep the mouth shut. You know, when they say, oh, we're at high alert, and then they go, oh, we're off high alert now. They shouldn't really be saying it on the news because basically they've just given them the ammo to go, oh, right, we'll go and do it again. Things like that, they shouldn't really say. They should just say, oh, we're on high alert, that's it, end of story, don't mention it again. So,
when the news broadcasts something, and certain people, everybody's going to look at this differently. You want some people, the most quote-unquote informed people, are going to want the news to give every description, every little inkling. They're going to sit there and they're going to check into these. They're going to make sure the facts are right. Would it necessarily be better for the news to say there is an ongoing report, and instead of going, we have the name of the person, we are not allowed to release it yet, or something along those lines, instead of doing that, they just kind of breeze over the people who do these crimes, give great details about the crime and what happened, and make sure they discuss the outcomes and everything else around it, but skim over the person who caused the problem, because by giving them the light or by explaining their motive or reasoning, you're helping in whatever they were trying to get across.
In a sense, yeah. You know, like, you know how the military work, they only say a little bit and then that's it. They not allowed to give out information, you know, the rest of it. The media should be like that with, you know, these terror attacks. You know, like, say, you know, with like London, they were on high alert. You know, so everything was shut down and no one could get in. And then when it was all like calm and quiet and they sorted, you know, who was behind it all, they said, right, we're off the high alert now. We've gone down a level. the media always say it, and then like a few weeks later, you know it's going to happen again, of another terror attack to happen. They should choose the words wisely, because you know it's giving them an incentive. Oh, we can go in it on this day because you know the levels come down.
Would part of it be that in trying to give so much news, that the news that they're giving on the spot, in a hurry, live, while the actions are going on, could be faulty, could be wrong? And why didn't I mute that?
Yeah.
And sometimes they have to go back and correct themselves, but going back and correcting yourself, either somebody saw the correction or somebody might have seen the original article and not seen the correction. So you've already kind of clouded up the news by being so fast at it, you got out the wrong information.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It is important to report it, and it is better live. And it is best with the most details and information, and maybe that would allow you to decipher if you don't have a lot of information about something, or it's not something you should release, then maybe that should be considered and filtered down. Not saying to not get the news out there to the best of their ability, but to maybe not shine such a light on the perpetrator or the reason. Maybe breeze over it later in the broadcast, but don't get in there, get his picture up on screen unless you're looking for him or looking for more information from him. You really don't need to publicize so much. Put it up there real quick. This is the guy. Let's pull it down. He committed this and this and this and this, and you know, realize that what you say and how you say it, repetition of words, usage of items like pictures and names, that will cause people to remember those things. And that's what people who do this want. They want to be remembered and or seen for what they're doing. So by reporting everything like they are, they're giving them an ability to, at this point, put their name on a long list of other people who've committed these same acts. Welcome, Sinatra. How have you not gotten a wrench before? Let's fix that. To my first 250 subscribers, everybody gets a wrench. Alright, let's go through and check the chat real quick. I don't think they need to fact check. They need to return to reporting from the center. There's too much bias. I agree. There is way too much bias in the news these days, and you have to find organizations like why not Tucker Carlson every once in a while with Sinatra, that the news actually tries to portray the real events. Wait for Black Pigeon Speaks to make a video. Everybody has their sources. If Madwoman's still in here, I know her news she tries to collect from several places, and from those several places she'll take that and make a news report that she wants to give that seems less biased or leaning towards any one way, which is kind of nice in the morning. A good journalist tries to extract himself from the situation as much as possible and reports all of the information that's important to the public and verified by journalists. This means information like the name of the shooter would definitely be important, so would a background of the potential mental health issues. Yes, and while I'm not disputing that it would be important, I am saying that starting off your news broadcast with a clip and a title of the photo and name and making that the primary problem and not the fact that 17 people died, that should be the problem. That should be the primary focus. And the shooter, the person involved in it, should be the side burner note that it was done by da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We have so many people in the hospital. That shouldn't be the primary focus of the story. It wasn't 18 school shootings. I did check that list. I guess 3 were actual multiple shootings. One of them was a guy in the parking lot. There was one that was down the road. I was reading them as quickly as I could, trying to get through some of that. They're still saying 18. The original way I heard that number was 19 in the Congress. It was one of the senators or something was down there talking and said, before I say what I need to say, do you realize the 19th school shooting is going on right now? So let's see, where are we? How does it look up there? Vanilla, would you like to pick something else off the board?
Television.
Television. When we consume television and media, there is a healthy amount and an unhealthy amount of time to spend watching media. How much is too much?
Never too much.
Well, you hit a point where you yourself will realize that you sat in front of a monitor too long and your eyes are starting to hurt. And I was trying to look for an actual number or a statistic that I could use for this question. But the only thing I kept coming up with was the varied amounts of time that different age levels spent using digital media, i.e. phones, computers, laptops, video games, television, during the course of their day. I just want to mention, because it's been said a few times, before we end the game, Unwanted Reaper would like to talk about the sex category, because he's glued to it.
I'm a bit of a prude. I'm a bit of a prude. I don't like talking about it.
Well, it's different stuff. It's not always directly about sex, so we'll put that out there.
Okay.
To put it back to the statistics I was looking at, I want to say in like 2013 or 2014, not trying to go too far back in it, it was an average of around 7 to 9 hours per day for an adolescent to a young adult, being the ages of, I want to say, 13 to 27. Watching per day on average throughout the year was about 7 to 9 hours per day. So that does seem like kind of a lot. That's a work day at a computer right there, lunch included.
It's just moderating it, for children, but for adults.
If you go
Sometimes
to
it can never be too much.
If you go to the 2017 statistics, which are still not very verifiable, but it's looking like, or was it 2016s were the ones I was last looking at. It was 11.5 hours per day for people from the ages of 13 to 27. So it just seems like a lot of the day. It doesn't matter what age you are. That just seems like too much time in front of the TV.
Yeah, it's like mine don't really watch TV. They watch their bits on YouTube, or if if it's homework, then they'll look it up. So,
I don't have a problem with.
Either way you look at it, it's still on. Yeah, they're still on a device.
Yes, I don't have a problem with making sure kids have the ability to spend time on technology, learn how to use it, because they're going to be smarter than us once we give them the chance. It's how much of that do you let them learn, and how much do you try to diversify to make sure you're still teaching them other things like, okay, here's how you stack rocks, here's how you cut wood, here's how you fix the door, here's how you change the oil filter. If we let them sit on these devices all day, are we allowing them to learn only what they want to learn? Are we doing them a disservice by giving them 9 to 11 hours a day of television and YouTube and everything else?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, like my eldest, he's learned quite a lot. Like some things I don't even know about, and he's telling me, and I'm like, where have you got that from? Like, oh, YouTube, and I'm like, okay, or like Google. Oh, and like I've used YouTube, because we left the battery on, the car switched on for the lights, so run the battery down and had to restart the radio again. So it does come in handy for like finding out things. But not having that social time with reality humans, should we say, it does make them a lot more antisocial.
Yeah.
So it's
not just antisocial, but hands-on critical thinking. If you allow kids to spend 10 hours a day, let's say, on a mobile device or digital device or staring at a screen somewhere, not just is it going to affect their social lives, being that they're not going to want to do much else than sit there on the screen, because social media and devices are addictive. They are an addictive item.
Yeah.
Not just that, but they're not going to have the build in them to be able to go out and do something. They're not going to have the strength in them to go build, to go climb a tree, to go out and play. They're not going to have the muscle developed in them because they've spent so long sitting. The muscles are weaker. The body's not, using the calories. You're getting what we got in America here, extra fat people. I didn't say that out loud, did I? Oops.
I've tried to get mine to be chunky, to be sat down for a bit, but no, they're like bean poles. So I try and counteract it. It's like, well, you can sit on your bum for this long, but just don't run about.
Are you the cook? Flour, pastas, and potatoes, things high in carbohydrates. Let's go. You think they just got high metabolism?
Yeah, they eat like a horse. They can eat junk food a lot and they still look like a twig.
Sinatra says, I don't know if he's still here. He thinks the bones are rigged, but that's okay. You can do that. You get plenty with a wrench. I want to say you get twice as many as regular, and everybody's got a wrench right now. Ultimately, it should be up to the parent what they believe they think is best. I think 3 hours is good, a little more on the weekends. I think 3 hours a day is too much for kids during school time, unless you're watching a movie as a family. And yes, it does matter what they're watching and the context you're watching it in. My kids and I played Minecraft for 4 hours the other day, but we do that every few weeks, if that. It's part of a kid. I mean, learning tech was never fun for you, but, for some kids, it's also natural. The way technology is these days, it's almost naturally learned just by sitting down and playing with it. They do need more time to socialize, says Rajim. Going down to see which ones here matter. Minding freedom. Daw, thanks. Oh, well, if I give you 11 hours per day of tech time, you'd end up with kids spending all day on video games. And I used to try that. My mom stopped me. It was probably for the best because I know a little bit more than just video games. Now I know how to take my video games apart and put them back together. Well, at least the older ones I could. The newer ones, not so well. But here and there. All right. I think I covered...
I'm the same on that. I used to watch my dad, so I learned from my dad of taking things apart and putting it back together. And
I used to love standing out and watching my grandfather rip engines apart and put shit back together. It was the coolest thing in the world to me, how it all just came apart and the new part would go on so nicely and so easily, and it's just like that was always neat to me. So as I got older, people started showing me how to do some of this work, and I realized, wow, there's cool tips and tricks that if I didn't know, that it would make the job so much harder. And now that I'm grown, I'm so glad that I learned most of that stuff and didn't spend all of my time just sitting in front of a computer. I have something to base all of my knowledge off of, some basic construction of how to do and what to do things. All right, so we're back at the board, and I don't know if we want to hurt Reaper's feelings and not pick
I'll do
sex.
one before the sex one.
Well, I think at the way time goes with this show, we might have time for just sex, and then we might pop out.
Okay, let's go for sex then.
Let's go for sex. I can't promise it's horrible, but I can't promise it's great either. with the openness of sex and sexuality we have now, maybe Kellogg was right about desensitizing genitals to keep people from playing with themselves.
Each to their own.
Do you know who Kellogg was? I forget what his first name was, but I do remember it was Kellogg, the creator of cornflakes.
Yeah.
Do you know what he was for? Like what he pushed for? I forget.
Not really. Not really.
He pushed for the best way to say it is desensitize. John Harvey Kellogg. He pushed for the desensitization of the genitals so that children and adults wouldn't want to play with themselves because they wouldn't get any good feeling out of it. And Kellogg cornflakes were actually produced by him as a plain cereal that had no flavor and wouldn't incite any emotion towards anything. Do you think with the way that we've progressed that he may have been right, that maybe stopping it back then might have been a way to curb where we are now?
I don't see his logic in that.
You don't see the logic in that?
Having a plain cereal to stop you from playing with yourself.
Oh, no. The plain cereal was a way to not offer anybody any sugar or any other chemical so that it wouldn't inhibit anybody to be any happier than they were, because happiness led to people playing with themselves and each other.
Right, now I get you.
Do you see what I mean? But he actually fought for, I guess, what is now considered female genital mutilation, the making it so the nerve endings on men and women wouldn't feel the sensation of pleasure so that people wouldn't pleasure themselves.
Yeah, but that would make them obese because they're more into the cornflakes.
Well, the cornflakes being separate, but with the same plan.
Yeah, I see what, but if they're taking the mind off playing with themselves but going for the cornflakes, that will make them to be obese because they're eating more of it because of the saturated fats that are in it.
Okay.
that I'm trying to think other ways, but that's how I see it.
I would kind of say that if you want to see the full potential out of people, then individuals who sit around playing all day aren't really going to get anything done, and they're never going to reach their potential. And hey, as children, most people grew up finding out that, hey, if I rub here or touch it just like this, it feels good. And that takes up a part of their day from then on. But if you take that out of their day, what else?
Boring.
Hold on. We're going to get to that. Would just be boring. But if you take that out of the day, that bores part of your day away. But now for breakfast, instead of having something sweet that's going to get you hyper and happy, we're going to give you something plain that your body's only going to take so much of anyways because it's made of corn. We're going to give you this cereal for breakfast. This is the regimen of the day. We're going to desensitize you to pleasure, and then we're going to give you things that have very little to no taste. And then we're going to teach you how to do a whole bunch of things. And none of them are going to have to do with sexuality or sex or anything like that. And that was Kellogg's outlook, is that sex took up too much of people's lives, too much of people's minds, too much of people's day, and that we needed to get away from it. So, was he right?
No. I don't think he was right. I would love to know who his scientist was behind it all.
I don't know if there was science. I forget what his profession was. I just remember that it was a huge thing back in the 30s, 20s, something like that. Maybe even longer ago.
I wonder if he turned into a Buddha, because they don't do all of
I forget what his religion was. I know he had a belief. I'm not Mormonism or something. I forget what it was. People just need to stop exposing children to it so young and use it as a marketing tool.
It's an age. It's an age. I know, like, my eldest, he was 7, and he asked me, well, he didn't ask me about Morning Glory, but he was like, this is happening. And I was like, oh, it's just it telling you that you need a wee.
The Road to Wellness. I'm assuming that's the John Harvey Kellogg thing.
Yeah, I think.
You think? I lost you.
It just, I'm. Well, yeah, I'm stuck.
I'm speechless. At least, hey, this isn't a topic that being prude is horribly going to deny you from the conversation. This is, honest thought, prude or not. How do you see this? What's going to be the thought process someone like you is going to have on this? Should it have been right to desensitize children to sex and give them plain raising or plain upbringings that don't include all of that until they get older? Or should this be something that children are just allowed to see from the sidelines, like I think we were speaking of last week? I think it was even the show that Bear was on, where children that grow up in a family where they see their parents in loving situations and loving relationships and acknowledging, the good and the bad, allows them to grow up in more stable homes. Which one would be better? It's a hard argument, huh?
Yeah, there's the loving side, but then if they see the fighting side, they're going to go thinking it's normal for doing that. So there's no equal balance for it. Because, let's be honest, is there a perfect family that do all the hugging and not the fighting? No. So it swings and roundabouts.
Yeah. I honestly don't think that Kellogg had the right idea. But maybe to smaller extremes, if he was more fighting for it to not be spread as quickly, not to just end it altogether, he might have had the right idea.
It's going away about it, but not using food, because food, you've got to see it from another perspective.
Well, the food just offered to the plainness of the lifestyle. That's all. The cornflakes was created to be an item that could be served that was plain, that would not inspire happiness or glee or sexuality or anything. It was just supposed to be something plain. Let's hit the chat real quick. What do we got? NumbedSkull. Yeah, it was a movie with Fonda and Broderick and Hopkins. I may have seen it. That might be why this came to mind. Let's see. Everybody is playing with the bot. The bot is so much fun. I'm glad you all enjoy it. Anybody have any final words from the chat? Life is chaotic. Nobody belongs anywhere. Why didn't we already have that with oatmeal? I don't know. Maybe because oatmeal provided warmth and a happy sensation? I don't know. Vanilla, would you like to shill anything and spread some links in the chat for your stuff?
Well, most of them that are in the chat are sub to me anyway.
Yeah, probably. I bow down to the larger people. I'm just glad they'll visit my show and chat for an hour. I am glad you were able to hang out with me for the hour.
Yeah, and my kids behaved for once.
Yeah, it's kind of a new show, kind of different. All conversation, maybe a little bit of fun, I hope.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I was a bit worried that I wouldn't know anything what was being put up, but I think I've done all right.
It's not about you knowing anything. It's about how you see things that are on the board. What's your viewpoint? Is it different? Is it the same? Can we compare it? Can we talk about it? That's all this is about, is, taking a look at things.
I'm probably on everyone's wavelength. I am quite hard-headed, so if I've got an opinion, I will give it.
Absolutely glad to hear that. So hopefully we will have you on the show again. Maybe at the end of the week, if I can't find too many other people, I'll hit you up here.
Just don't get me on with Bear.
I will do my best. So don't tell him when you're coming on. I'll send you the alert just a few hours before you tell him to take a nap, and we'll all be good.
Well, because me and Bear have had debates before, and the amount of times I've had to shut him down, I'm like, no, I'm allowed my own opinion. I'm not thinking like you.
All right, well, thank you so much, everybody in the chat, for coming to join us today. Thank you again, Vanilla, for being on the show. With that, we are going to roll the closing credits. Everybody, have yourselves a wonderful day.